Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is going to be another Raid Shadow Legends video. So I did a video just a few weeks ago, or maybe a couple of weeks ago, where I called out the top 3 epics per faction to help you get through faction wars. There was an overwhelming kind of flurry of comments that basically just said, can you do the same but for rares? Because not all of us have got the epics. Totally get your point. So that's what we're going to do today. Basically, we're going to go into the index. We're going to call out the top 3 rares per faction to help you get through faction wars, or at least to help you progress. You know, you don't necessarily need to be doing stage 21s, but how do you get to stage 13, 14 and start to get some of the good glyphs? And we know that glyphs massively improve your account. So let's start then with the Banner Lords. We're going to flick through them all. And some of these are tough, guys. Some of these really struggle to have half decent rares in their factions. So we're going to start here with my third best for the Banner Lords, and that is Chevalier. Chevalier is a void, so he's going to be difficult to get anyway, and he's my third best, so not even like coming up there as high top priority. But this guy brings an increased defense buff and a heal for your whole team. If I just pull it back a minute, what I'm looking for in a faction war champion is buffs for your team, debuffs for the enemy, high survivability because we want to get those 3 stars, anything that can help us revive, anything that can help us drop defense for the enemy, and anything which is going to keep my team alive. That's kind of what I'm looking for. He's got a defense aura for faction crypts, which is huge. That's really good for a rare. He's got a 50% chance to stun, which is kind of nice. And he's got a 2-hitter here, which ignores block damage and shields, which is kind of okay. The best thing about him is he's a defensive champ, so all of his damage is based on defense, which means he hits hard and he doesn't take hits as badly. So for me, one of the better ones, third place. We've then got my second place, not this guy, not this guy. Who was it? Who was it? Who was it? No. I know the name, I don't know the face. No, not you. Yes! Mimrodon. I don't know how to say that. Again, defense-based champion, good speed, good HP, so he's going to stay alive. He's got this ally protection for your team, so you tank him up, and he's going to protect your team. He's also got the bigger version of heal. So these two together, Chevalier and Mimrodon, are basically going to protect your team. That's what we're looking for. He's got an AoE decrease attack. It's a small version, but again, it's going to stop people hitting you as hard. Really important. You do need accuracy for this to land. And then he's got a provoke on his A1 as well. Actually, a solid faction war champ. So really good champion. Definitely one worth looking at. Top for me, though, is Valerie. And again, these 3 synergize really well together. So Valerie, again, good defense. Good base defense is always important. Her damage is based off attack. A1's nothing. A2 increases the duration of all buffs on all allies. So the other 2 there, throwing out their increased defense, throwing out their ally protection, throwing out their heals. If she goes after that, she then gives you an extra turn for all of those buffs, which is massive. Also places increased attack. And she brings a shield as well. So she's in there. She brings an HP aura for faction crypts. Good base stats. So they're all defensive, support-based champions. None of these rares really kind of scream out to me as like damage dealers. You kind of need to pair them with perhaps an epic like an Oathbound and a Hoarding, or you know, if you've got a legendary, even better. But they are not going to do your damage. They will be slow and steady type of rares. Let's get on to High Elves. High Elves then, a bit easier to choose because they've got some solid ones. Third place is Elhain. Elhain just does a ton of damage. She's not doing any debuffs, anything else. She's fast, she's got good multipliers, and she does a ton of damage. So Elhain in there, easy pick for me. Lots of AoE damage. Yeah, she's really good. Reliquary Tender coming in as number 2. Could be number 1 easily. The first 2 are interchangeable. I'm sure you know who the next one is. She's got a decreased attack. It's only a single target, but it's good for the bosses. She's got heals going on here, and she removes all debuffs from your team. So if those bosses are placing the stuns and the fears and that type of stuff, she'll clean that straight off. And then she's got a revive. This is why she's so strong. She probably should be number 1, actually. She revives someone on your team. She helps you get those 3 stars. Really good champ. And then obviously, Apothecary number 1. I mean, he's just got this speed aura, turn meter field, great base stats, triple hit A1, and a heal with the ability to crit that heal. So generally, if you've got a bit of crit on him, it can give you a completely full health bar from this. Rotates it quick, definitely up there as first or second. Sacred Order. Sacred Order. Lots of rares here and some pretty good ones, actually. So I'm throwing in there as a honorary mention Armiger as an uncommon. Armiger, up until about a week ago, was still running in my level 20 Faction War team. He's insane. Insane. I've got guides out on him. Check him out. He's got this turn meter drop, which is why he's so strong. And then he's got a nuke. He's defense based, but he's just kind of crazy for an uncommon. In terms of the rares, though, so I've gone for Templar number 3. Really good champ, actually. I probably should do a guide on this guy. He is farmable. He has got this 4-hit at random. It's a shame it's at random, but he's a rare, so you kind of got to take that. He's defense based. Each hit's got 25%, which you can boost up to 50 of thrown out a provoke. At the same time, he puts block damage on himself. It's kind of nuts. It's kind of nuts. Faction Wars, this is insane. So he takes no damage, and he's provoking potentially 4 of them, but at least 2, I'd say. So good champ. He's got an A1, which throws out a decreased speed as well. Interestingly, it says here, damage inflicted is proportional to defense. But then it also says damage is based on defense. I guess this must have been one of the earliest models where they decided to write this in and didn't have this bit. I'm not sure, but a bit weird. And then he's also got a passive. Attacks with this champion's default skill whenever an enemy places a debuff on this champion. So he goes out with his A1 if someone debuffs him. It's actually, he's kind of nuts. He's kind of nuts. People overlook him. Really good rare. Second place is going to be... Who have I got? Yeah, this was a bit of a weird one, actually. This champ's kind of good. Harrier, kind of good. But I went for Hospitaler. Weird name. So she brings a speed aura in all battles, which is kind of nice. Going to be good for Faction Wars. Her base stats are okay. She's got a bunch of skills. So A1 does nothing. A2's an AoE and a chance to remove a random buff. Taking away buffs, taking away those counterattacks, taking away those block debuffs, taking away increased defense, anything like that is huge. She's then got an increased speed on your allies, an increased crit rate. Massive ability, this. And she's got a passive. She's got a partner when she's with Harrier. So this is worth calling out. I did just say Harrier, not bad. If she's with Harrier, she gets a random revive on a 5-turn cooldown, and that person comes back with block damage. Again, for Faction Wars, this is huge. So I'd say if you're going to run her, I would run her with Harrier. And Harrier actually is no slouch in terms of damage. He's just not really got much else going for him. But he's got this thing that he's with her. He ignores 50% of the target's defense when he crits, which is, again, quite big. So those two kind of probably should run together. But for her other bits of her kit, I think she's still useful anyway. So let's go into the Barbs. Barbarians, interestingly, they've got kind of bad epics, but they've got really good rares. Much easier to call out 3 here. And I actually got 2 that I'm going to call out as kind of, not bad ones, really. So we have got, first one that I'm calling out as worth a look. Is it this guy? No. It's Sentinel. Yeah, Sentinel. He's got a provoke on his A1. His space speed is so low that it's probably not worth using. But this is why I've called him out. Attacks all enemies. Booked him up at 70, but even unbooked, 50% chance of placing decreased attack on all enemies. That's quite big. It's a small version, so it's not like it's a huge thing, but also a chance of placing heal reduction. He's got a bit of a self-heal. He's kind of okay, but he's not insane. Second one, as a bit of a call-out, is Anointed. So Anointed's got a freeze here. So triple hit, chance to place a freeze, kind of nice. Double hit here, chance of stealing buffs. Anything where you're taking buffs off of someone else is cool. He is defense-based. Well, he's not defense-based, but he's got a high base defense. It's kind of weird. But he's got a turn meter fill here and an increased crit rate. His kit's okay. That's why he's kind of getting a call-out, but not top 3. Top 3 for me was easy. Third place is going to be Marked. Marked is a very, very good rare. Good base stats. Decreased defense on an A1 is kind of okay. AoE, decreased accuracy on her A2. It's an AoE hit. It's kind of nice. This is what she's in there for, though. A lot of the buffs, a lot of the bosses, if you can put block debuffs out, will just make it way easier for you. So she's got a block debuff. She's also got the big version, increased defense. You can book it down to 3 turns. That's a massive move. That's a massive move for Faction Wars. Second place is going to be Soulbond. Could easily be top. Good base stats again. AoE A1. Put her in a stun set or a day set. She's going to do work. She ignores defense on her A2 and she hits damn hard. And then she fully depletes turn meter on her A3. Massive for boss fights, this one. Massive. I still use her in my end game team. Really good, really good. And then War Maiden comes in, again, easily in the team. Her multipliers are kind of crazy. She's got a decreased defense, big version, 100% if you book her up, and I would suggest you do. Very good champ. That's what she's in there for. She does bring a poison on her A1 as well. She increases her own attack here as well. But this is what she's in there for, decreased defense. So, Barbarians done. Let's get on to Omen Tribes. Way worse here. We've got a really kind of slim pickings group. I've kind of given an honorary mention to the Jailer. He's okay. Chance to remove a buff. Chance of stealing more buffs here. So, and does more damage if there's no buffs around. So kind of good for Faction Wars as a fourth place effort. I've called out Fortress Goon as third. So decreased speed, always nice for bosses. AoE ability here with a chance to put out a heal reduction. And then a heal for your team and an increased defense. It's a small one, but still, it's nice for keeping your team alive. So he's coming in third. Second spot, we're going to give to... Who was the second one I did? Oh, yeah. Flesh Eater. So Flesh Eater, it's got a freeze on his A1. Not bad. 2-hitter here. Each crit decreases target's turn meter. So again, turn meter drop against bosses is huge. And then a buff for his team. Really good base stats, so not a bad champ. Easily, though, I mean, so far above the rest of his friends, it's insane, is Bellower. Like, he's top tier, the rest of them are pretty low tier. So, you know, if you've got the epics for this faction, I mean, even the epics, maybe the epics are okay. But he's so far above. I run 2 Bellowers still in my endgame team. So, I mean, he brings block cooldown skills, he brings decreased speed, he brings decreased attack and defense. They're both the small versions, but still. And then he's got a speed aura as well. He's so good for Faction Wars. It's nuts. So, Lizardman. Lizardman, we have got... so, Lizardman... Yeah, I just kind of called out one. A lot of these ones just look the same, so I've got to try and find him. Perla, this one. He's my fourth spot. His base defense is so low. If he takes a hit, he's probably going down. But he does have an ignore defense. He does have remove buffs from target and fills his own turn meter. It's kind of nice. And he does have the ability to put someone's skills on cooldown, which is really big. If you want to take out a counter-attacker just out the game, this ability here is very cool. So he was like my fourth place honorary mention. We've then got third place. We've got Bogwalker. So he's got the big version decrease attack on his A1. Good for bosses. Make sure they're not hitting you as hard. He's got an AoE here, and he increases his defense of his team, which is nice. Good base stats, good base defense, and a lot of his stuff is coming from defense. So good champion, pretty solid. We've then got ourselves, which one is this? Gator. Gator, heal reduction here, that's kind of okay. Increase attack on all of his team, on his A2, and removes all debuffs from all allies. This is that's what he's in there for. Literally this move. He's got good base stats, so you can keep him alive. When you need to cleanse off decreased defenses, any poison damage, fears, stuns, anything like that, he's your man. So that's why he's in there. I wouldn't take him beyond level 50 for sure, but he can come in and do some work for you. Again, Haruspex is like way beyond anyone else in this faction. Way beyond. He's got poison, double hit on his A1. It's kind of okay. Fill turn meter and increased speed on his A2, which is huge. And then revive a dead ally and fill their turn meter on his A3, which is huge for Faction Wars. So he's easily the best Faction War rare of this faction. So let's get into Skinwalkers then. Very few rares here. Very few, but they're actually damn solid. Damn solid. So coming in third place is Greybeard. Brilliant champ. A1 provoke. A2 chance to freeze the enemy, which is massive. All of his damage is done on defense, and he's got good base defense. And then A3 throws counterattack on himself. And a shield, proportional to his defense. Very, very good. Very good. Third place. Second place is going to be Fleshmonger. Fleshmonger throws out the big version, decreased defense. You kind of want to book it up to get the value from it, but it's huge. For this faction, it's huge. I'm not sure there's anyone else who does it. Let me just have a quick look. Oh, yeah. So Avoid Legendary does it. No one else does. So he's actually like pivotal in just about anybody's team comp, even endgame players. Fleshmonger. Really good. Brings increased attack and crit rate on this champion and gets another turn and then a triple hit here. His stats are okay. He's mainly in there for this ability. A bit like the War Maiden of the Barbarians. And then first place for me is Nullhorn. So Nullhorn is an insane champ. He does more damage based on how much health he loses here. It can't be a crit. It can't be a crit, a strong hit, or a weak hit. It's just going to do damage. So it's not going to hit that hard. You can't crit with it. There's no point putting any crit into his build at all. 0 crit rate. There's no point. He's got an A2 that provokes. So literally no crit rate or crit damage. It is irrelevant. You may as well just build him with attack if you want to do damage. It makes no difference. The rest of it makes no difference because this can't crit and this can't crit. So provoke on all enemies for 1 turn and places increased defense on himself and makes himself unkillable on this one. So basically what he does, he brings all of the attacks into him, makes himself unkillable, whilst the rest of your team do the work. Really solid champ. Okay, let's get on to Orcs. Orcs. Where have I done with this? Third place veteran. So he does bring... Oh no, that's dungeon speed. What does he bring? He brings AoE block buffs. So again, you want to put this on there before those counter-attackers are going to throw their counter-attacks up, or before someone's going to do something like an increased speed. So it will stop all of that. You have got an increased crit rate here for your whole team, which is kind of okay. And then you've got the big version, decrease attack, single target here, which again is good for bosses. He's got a massive defense, good speed. You can keep him alive. So decent champ. Second place, we have got Raider. Bit of a weird one for me. She does bring a speed aura. I didn't know too much about her until I started looking into it. Attacks one enemy, attacks 2 times if the target's HP percentage is higher than this one. Kind of weird. But this is what I like. AoE, decreased speed for 2 turns. And then attack 1 enemy and a high chance to stun. So you can actually book it up to 100% chance to stun and put the small decreased defense on. So you pick out the person that's going to do all the work on their team and stun them, keep them out of the game. Kind of good champ. Not insane, but good. Gaelic's got to be top. He's got the decreased defense, albeit it's a random hitter. But what's that, 40% chance to land it? It's not too bad. 4 times. Good base stats. AoE damage here again. And puts increased speed on himself. And then double hitter here. His AoE hits hard. The decreased defense is nice. Easily the best champ, even though they're not that good. Orcs are not that strong. They've got a lot of good epics. Let's get into Demonspawn then. Demonspawn. So as a call out, we've got Marcus here. So Marcus, decreased speed on an A1, counter attack here, AoE sleep here, and the debuff cannot be removed. That's the important words here. Usually you hit someone again and it wakes them up. This will not wake up. That's really cool. Good base stats. And his multipliers for this ability are really high, but his base attack is low. So I'm interested to have a play around with this guy. It might be that I can get him to hit really hard. We'll see. But honorary call out there for him. Third place, we've got Fellhound. AoE, decreased speed, and a lot of damage here. Block damage for 1 champion here. It's okay. He's a bit wonky, I'd say, on his auto. But if you play him manually, he's strong. And then a heal and reflect damage here. Good base stats, apart from his speed. So, pretty cool champ. Second place, we've got Marquez. Don't know how you say that properly. Decrease attack here. AoE weaken, that's why I've called her out. AoE weaken is going to be nice. And then a 100% chance to freeze booked up on 1 champ. A bit like the stun champ. You're kind of picking out 1 and you're just shutting them down. So, pretty nice. 75% chance without books is already good. She's got crazy low speed, which doesn't help. She's got okay defense and everything's based off defense, which is kind of nice. But yeah, she was my second. But first, farmable rare. She's in my faction war team for level 20 stuff. Really good rare. Massive base speed. She increases your speed while she's attacking enemies. She fills your turn meter while she's decreasing turn meter. And she's got a sleep here as well. Really good kit for a rare. So she comes in easy first place. Let's get into the Undeads then. Undeads is a massive faction. Look how many there are here. And there's actually tons of good ones. Tons of good ones here. So I went with third place. No, honorary mention, Doomscreech. Doomscreech is a void. Decrease accuracy here. Fill turn meter by 30% is huge. Increased defense, big one. He could easily be in the top 3, actually, this guy. AoE attack and places a shield here. His base stats are a bit low, which is why I didn't put him in top 3. But, I mean, he could easily get into the top 3. I've then gone for third place. Again, these are all interchangeable. These are all good. Third place, Grinner. I love this fella. He's always smiling, always happy. He's got an increased attack on all allies here when he attacks. He's got an AoE ability, removes a random buff, massive for faction wars. And then he's also got revives an ally with half health, places a shield buff on the revived guy as well for 20% of their HP. So massive base stats, really, really strong support player. So second place, we have got Banshee. Banshee does all AoE damage. AoE, and a random hit here, sorry. But you can put her in a stun set, a daze set, and she will just take people out of the game. She's got decreased defense on her A1. She's got chance to remove random buffs here. And then she's got block cooldown skills here. All good abilities. A base defense and speed are a little low, but good champion. First place for me is Seducer. Just so much going on with this guy. Sleeping. He's working out. He loves his life. He's living his best life right now. Decreased attack AoE ability. You can book it up to 100%, which is cool. Increased defense and block debuffs. Block debuffs goes on for 2 turns. I used him to get past one of the bosses. Might have been stage 16 or whatever it is boss. And I used him for stage 21 boss. High base defense. All battle HP aura. Now this is what I wanted to call out. If you're going to run Temptress, or if you're running Seducer, I would suggest to run Temptress as well. If you do, he puts ally protection out there and a block damage on this champ. That's a massive ability. And Temptress is kind of okay, but I wouldn't run Temptress if I wasn't running Seducer. She's got a leech ability here, which is cool. She's got increased attack, increased crit rate, and good base stats. So the two of them together, yes. Temptress by herself, I'd say probably not. Okay, let's get into Dark Elves. Dark Elves, again, a good faction. Couple of call-outs. Eviscerator, good champ. Poisons, decreases defense AoE, but it's a small version. She could easily be in the top 3, actually. Attacks an enemy champion with default skill whenever they are healed or received a buff. It's kind of mental as well, so it's almost like a built-in counter-attacker. So this is kind of cool. So she comes in as an honorary mention. Spirit Host does the same. She's got an all-battle speed aura. Block debuffs here, like we just spoke about. Increase attack. Yeah, so very good champ. Again, could easily be in the top 3. But top 3 are Painkeeper, third place. She's got turn meter fill for herself. She's got AoE and heal off this one. And then she's got decreased cooldowns of all ally skills. This is a huge ability here. Could do a booking this one out, to be fair. Good speed, good HP, good champ. Second place, Coldheart. I mean, she's just bonkers. Maybe she's first place even, but takes out a turn meter here. Brilliant for bosses. She's got AoE damage. She's got a lot of damage. Great champion. And then Kale. We all know Kale, surely, by now. AoE, nuking, fills his turn meter as well for everyone he kills. Loads of poison. All of those 5 I've called out could easily all fit into top 3 in any sort of order. They're all brilliant champs. So Night Revenants then. Night Revenants are struggling. They're struggling for rares, guys. Really tough faction to do. So I called out Gladiator. No, not that one. Gladiator. Must be this one. Gladiator as my third. Good base stats. Got the big version, decrease attack and decrease speed for 2 turns. This is all kind of based on turn meter, so it does one or the other. Kind of good though if on boss fights. He's got a stun, but it's a random hitter. 80% chance to place a stun is kind of cool, but again, it's based on turn meter, so it's all a bit like if you're running him on auto, he's going to do all sorts of weird stuff. And an AoE here. So third place, I was struggling for a third, to be honest. Second place gets easier. Executioner, good champ. Defense is very high here, but he's got damage based on attack and attack and defense. It's kind of weird. Got a chance to place a stun on an A1. It's okay. He does have an inbuilt counter attack and increased defense, so he then counter attacks and has got a chance to stun. It's kind of nice. And then he's got an AoE decreased speed on an A2. So all in all, good champion. He used to be insane. They nerfed him. Now he's kind of okay. Speed's very low, but base stats otherwise are okay. And then first place, oh yeah, Renegade. Bit like Painkeeper, but better. Mainly in there for this. Decreases the cooldown of all ally skills by 2 turns. That's huge. That is huge. So basically, you're getting your abilities back quicker. That's what you're doing. Heal reduction there. Decreased speed and decreased accuracy here as well, which is kind of cool. Base stats are okay. Nothing special. But that ability there to reduce cooldowns is great. But you do really need to be pairing them with epics. And then lastly then, the Dwarves. So the Dwarves, top 3 for me. Who'd I go with? This is hard as well. These Dwarves are terrible. Honestly, the Dwarves are really bad. I went with, I don't even know which one he is. This guy? No. I'm literally going to find him until I find the name. Honor Guard, here we go. Honor Guard, he's defense-based. Good defense, good speed. He's got a decreased accuracy here. A chance to remove buffs. This is why I put him in, really. And a chance to put out blocked buffs as well. But it's all single target stuff. He's actually kind of bad, but I was running out of options for Dwarves. Dwarves are bad. Second place, we went with Bulwark. Defense-based again. Good base stats. Does have an increased defense in all battles for his aura, which is nice. He's got a passive that when he's hit, he could extend debuffs on enemies. And he's got a weaken and an HP burn. Again, for Faction Wars, though, he's not that good. He's kind of okay, but we were running out of options. First place, though, comes in Grumbler. Grumbler has got his HP based and his damage is done off HP, which is good. It's done off HP and defense, which means you can just build him into an absolute tank. Places a shield on this champion for his A1 based on... places a shield on this champion equal to 10% of the max HP. There's no other requirements for it. It just does it, which is cool. He's got heal reduction on his A2. And then he's got ally protection and increased defense. That's why I put him in there, really, for his A3. But the rares in Dwarves are bad. And there's actually not that many epics either. So Dwarf Faction Wars is tough. You really need some of these epics and legendaries to make this work, I'd say. So guys, that is it. I'm hoping that helps. Faction Wars is definitely worth investing some time in. Get those glyphs. Glyphs make your team way stronger. Whew, I've been Hell Hades. I'll catch you later.